Welcome to the 269th episode of News Dump, where we run through the hottest topics in the Lewis County news scene and discuss. I'm local man Aaron VanTuyl, joined by Chronicle executive editor Eric Schwartz, and we're joined in spirit by sponsors Summit Funding, Chehalis Outfitters, and The Roof Doctor. Anything you want to discuss on this 269th episode? Do you want to just do a full-on review of the film Wild Things? Have you gotten to watch it yet?
You say nice. No, I haven't. I haven't yet.
Well, you should watch that. Maybe you'd follow it up with...
I've got it bookmarked, though. It's ready.
Follow it up with perhaps The Housemaid. It kind of goes right in the same vein there.
Sit at your house watching pervy movies.
Buddy, I watched The Housemaid.
Thinking about how to afflict the taxpayer of Washington.
I watched The Housemaid in a theater, sir.
Have you been watching any of the other entertainment that includes someone getting effed over?
What are you?
The income tax debate that's been unfolding all day today.
I was on campus and saw what was going on and thought about walking over. Then I said, "Nah, I'm just going to go about living my life."
Campus? Are people chatting about it?
Actually, we heard it was still going on, and beyond that, not really. Like it was. I'm sure a few people had it playing and stuff, like you did when I walked in to your office, but. No, not that. People weren't really talking about it that much.
It was at 21 hours as of a few hours ago, so I think they'll hit that 24-hour mark pretty soon. But they're going to vote on it. It's going to pass.
All right. Any other preamble? Congratulations, Adna basketball, second in state. First time they made it to the finals. Pretty good.
I liked that they lost the state championship and there were no tears. They were very happy. No offense to anyone that shed tears, but it was nice to have a proper Cinderella run where the Cinderella understands they're a Cinderella the entire time.
Right.
And then the quotes right after the game were just like, what a ride. That was great.
Yeah, it was. And look, that was Colfax's tournament to win, obviously, from day one. Terrible situation for them.
Yeah. And they hung with them for about a half. I think I messaged you, they're hanging in there. They could do it. And then I refreshed the score, and they were down by 15. And I was like, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, but Adna should be good again next year. The Salmi kid's coming back. The Humphrey kid's coming back. They got a pretty good squad.
Is Salmi going to win a golf championship again this year?
He could. It's
got to be really hard to win twice.
Repeating in golf it's really tough. Everybody's pretty close to you. A lot can change your golf swing in a year, especially if you're a kid.
Is it harder to repeat in golf than wrestling?
They're both extremely difficult. I have no idea.
There's that girl from Prairie who won 4. So
yeah.
It can be done, I suppose. Anyways, this isn't Sports Dump. You guys are going to record that tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we are doing Sports Dump tomorrow night, so keep an eye out for that. I'll get the full breakdown of everything that happened in Spokane and Yakima and also Pasco.
Yeah.
From the boys.
Centralia College, the Audible.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'm glad we sent Rubes over there to watch them lose by 40.
Rubes and Otto.
Rubes and Otto.
Fortunately, Tumwater won their game, and so they finished 4th.
Yeah, our, backroom shadow editing worked out perfectly.
I always get a little sad this week following the B tournament in Spokane. It's kind of like the Sunday sads,
Sunday scaries, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's all over. Matt Classic's over. That's over. I mean, we got baseball to look forward to, but we're not going to have any postseason action until May now. So
yeah, and baseball and softball really won't get going for God knows how long with the weather in March the way it always is.
I'll play through it. Come on.
So actually, I think they are playing baseball over at Centralia College tonight. WFS is in a jamboree over there.
The turf, right?
Yeah. Can't run any games out on that shit.
Hell yeah. Let's get to the news on this very nice episode.
All right. First up, the intern threw some of these in there, including this first one. Washington gas prices hit $6.43 or $4.63, up more than 25 cents in a week. I'm thinking another war in the Middle East will help with this. Obviously, the intern has only been driving for a year. This is the first time a war in the Middle East has impacted his habits.
I remember my first one.
Yeah, surely this will come. But we got to,
it probably affects the intern more than just about anyone on these gas prices.
The Pentagon's got a pretty good plan for wrapping this thing up nice and quick. I'm sure it's being managed to the utmost of everybody's abilities. They'll have this whole thing wrapped up by tomorrow, probably, in time for the next distraction from...
You won't want to hear it, though,
things.
But on gas prices, we did not need a war in the Middle East to be the worst in the country. Interchangeably with Hawaii and California. But we're always in the hunt, though, and that was before war. So with the war, I'm highly confident we're going for that number 1 spot.
I did see a few posts about, I can't believe Washington's taxes would do this. It's like, they don't cause gas to spike 50 cents overnight. like in March.
I had to laugh at Baumgartner. So we have we have a couple of Washington Republican congressmen, but he's the one from Spokane, and he wrote that letter to Ferguson yesterday. Did you see that?
I saw something.
When I saw
it,
the
yeah.
release, I was like, oh, bipartisan request here. He's asking for a relaxing of some of the CCA cap and trade stuff so we can get a break on gas. And so I was like, let's read this letter. Let's see. And the first line is, your state is expensive because of your poor policies. And then it's like, please do me a favor. It's like, this wasn't a serious attempt.
Yeah.
I always have my hopes up for a little bipartisanship, but it's just, rug always gets pulled out.
Yeah, if only a congressman had some other avenue for weighing in on these things. Something
Twitter.
else they could do.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, gas prices are up. Probably going to stay that way. Oh, our friend of the pod, Brandon, texted me yesterday. He's like, should I short gasoline prices? And I was like, I don't think you know how shorting works.
I don't think he does. No, we should. Let's short him. How would he go about that?
So shorting a stock is...
Oh, I know. I've seen the motion picture.
You've seen The Big Short?
Yeah.
You've seen Industry? Yeah.
Which means I know everything there is to know about the stock market.
So, yeah, I guess you have to... I don't really know how shorting it would work, but his plan was not that.
Like, what would he do?
I don't know. Anyway, maybe he wanted to buy gas futures. I'm sure there's a run on those right now.
It sounds like a great concept, though.
Yeah.
Great idea.
All right, next item. 40 job types involved in the Northwest Hardwoods closure in Centralia. This is the mill up in Ford's Prairie, kind of right behind Lincoln Creek Lumber there. They're terminating 70 positions, and they haven't really commented on it. That includes jobs operating sawmills, boilers, kilns, planers, and forklifts, as well as administrative roles. They filed the official notice with the Employment Security Department on March 3rd. Look, nobody's ever happy to hear the mill shutting down. I know you and I, dating back to childhood, have heard, the mill's shut down. It's going to be tough times for this town. And it's never good. It's always bad news. The mill, the plant, the factory, the coal mine, everything. When they shut down, nobody's happy about it.
That's real. That's a fact. In Forks, I'd have to say. But is there anything like the joy when they're like, hey, mill's firing back up, they're hiring?
Yes.
It almost makes it worth it that they shut it down to begin with, because you're like, oh, hell yeah. About to be some working class jobs here.
Immediately drop what they're doing and bolt down there with a firm handshake will secure them a position.
That kind of is the case.
Yeah.
So.
All right, next item.
I do want to say, nothing requires Northwest Hardwoods to do anything but tell employment security. So I don't know that we'll ever hear more, but we did want to do one more story just kind of detailing the types of jobs. But it was an update that was essentially no update. And I don't know that we'll hear much more from the company.
And also, they declared bankruptcy in 2020, and I think they were bought by a bigger firm, maybe out of Texas, consolidating a bunch of stuff a couple years ago. And so it sounds like some stuff is moving down there.
It'd be nice to get like the actual reasons, but maybe it's not in the company's interest to really bellyache at this point or point to anything other than maybe they blame themselves. Who knows?
Yeah, they could, and they just feel bad about it, so they don't want to talk about it.
It did get me to poking around that employment security website thing, just searching Centralia, Chehalis, and man, kind of flew under the radar. Just everybody knew it happened, but 72 layoffs at TransAlta in January from the second unit getting shut down.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've had
happened quietly because it's been on the books since 2011 that they were going to do that.
Yeah, and I feel like they've also had a lot of like worker retraining and options and stuff.
Yeah, there's been stuff. But
and, look, old man TransAlta, even when he's got to, shut the party down, he gives his boys a ride home. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Sure. It did also pull up the 2007 564, I think.
Yeah,
layoffs. That was something. We get that in the flood in 1 year. Was that Centralia's worst year? 2007.
It was. I mean,
it was a good year for me personally.
Some pretty notably bad things happened here in 1919. I'm not sure if you remember that.
That's in the rush. I mean, that's in the conversation.
I remember when the mill shut or the TransAlta was shutting down, and Gordon McCracken, the old managing editor here, called me into his office. I was a reporter, and he was like, so about this mill, and I was like, am I going to lose my job? And he's like, he just started laughing. He's like, you don't make enough money to be worth firing.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It's a nice space to be in.
Yeah, it was cool.
Were you making $11 an hour back then?
Yeah, right around there.
10, 11, 12.
Yeah, and I was writing stories about people losing their jobs that paid them, 100-some thousand a year at the mill or at the steam plant.
You're just resenting the source material?
I was like, did I go into the wrong line of work or not? I can't decide.
Clearly.
Next item, Onalaska high school students advocate for funding at the state capitol. This is the Youth Engaged in Sustainable Systems, YES, program. And of course, Kevin Hoffman is involved. My question, Kevin Hoffman, Chronicle Person of the Year, when?
You got to put him in the conversation, but he did just win the Russ Money Award, which in WWE terms is like the Intercontinental Championship. So if the heavyweight is the Person of the Year, that's Clatouche currently.
Right.
We did announce on that topic, Derek Sanders is the Nisqually Valley News Person of the Year. That's
congratulations for him.
Yeah.
Nice of him to finally get some press.
You know, he's getting a little highlight for a guy that doesn't really put himself out there that much.
YES is a summer career and technical education program focusing on natural resources, specifically aquaculture and fisheries for Ani students this summer. I like that in addition to these learning opportunities, they get to go experience state government and see how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
That's a good opportunity.
We'll be out there again in the end of March in Onalaska, that is. They're doing their big fish release. They're doing like a community day.
I know what's going on the front page.
Oh, you know when they release those fishies.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be there.
You're going to have Ridley out there.
I don't know if I'll put it on the front page
It's
for sure.
never not been on the front page.
That's a damned lie.
What would have to happen for you to bump Onalaska fishies from the front page?
They have been bumped before. They've been a nice inside spread before. You don't read the print product. This isn't your area of expertise.
I'm pretty well aware
but
of
I'd
how
probably
the
put them on the front.
Exactly.
We'll
there
see.
we go.
You got your kids, you got your fish, got your Hoffman.
Good feel-good story.
Yeah, it's good stuff there.
Good art. Speaking of Derek Sanders, Thurston County Sheriff has thoughts on a bill that could disqualify his opponent. This is Senate Bill 5974. Sanders wants the governor to veto it. This would remove an elected sheriff if they're decertified by the Criminal Justice Training Commission. He called it the, quote, sheriff removal without your permission bill. He wrote, drinking on duty is conduct that would result in decertification and removal for an elected sheriff, comparing it to the recent case of a state lawmaker drinking while voting.
You think Fitzgibbons read that and was just like, hey.
Yeah, probably. Be that as it may, lawmakers aren't driving around with loaded guns either. Sanders listed off a few examples of behavior that other elected officials haven't lost their jobs midterm over: sexual harassment, another lawmaker that crashed a car while drunk in 2018, and a PUD commissioner who was charged with bribery. Do you have any examples that aren't from Lewis County?
Yeah, I felt kind of attacked when he started going down his list there.
Yeah. I guess the way I look at it, this is like a little bit like a prosecuting attorney where they have to be a member of the bar. I don't see it so much as a tool to remove a sheriff as much as setting a bar for who can hold the position. And given they're running a law enforcement agency, and that agency is usually the biggest budget item in a county budget, I don't think it's asking too much. But, you know, what do you think?
I think it's a dumb bill. There's already a way to recall your officials. This is 100% the remove Keith Swank bill. And that's what Keith Swank has called it. He's the Pierce County Sheriff. That is what it is. I said this on another program this morning. You know, I'm doing the circuit here.
Wow, good for you.
But it just seems like a bill you're never going to use unless you have a very specific reason you want to use it. And they allowed that amendment to where the Pacific County Sheriff isn't going to get thrown out. He didn't fit the parameters right away. Just overall, it seems like a very pointless bill that is very directly pointed at one person, and I don't think it's a good idea. It seems like a very poor idea.
We talked about PUD commissioner charged with bribery. Mike Kelly did lose his job, right?
Yes, he did. Through some, he missed 2 meetings. So if you have unexcused absences, so it wasn't, hey, you did a bribe, you're gone. They used the fact that, the fact that he missed multiple meetings disqualified him from the office. There was like a restraining order, I believe, preventing him from coming to the office. So it's like a chicken and the egg thing. But.
You know, if they threw an amendment in for that, then you could call it the Rob Snuzza bill.
Yeah, well, there you go. I still said back then I thought it would have been more fun from a news perspective if he had just kept showing up and making things very uncomfortable in those meetings.
All right.
Continues the pitch on the bribe in the meetings.
Come on.
I don't think you understood me, Potts. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Next item, Green Hill School focused on numbers, security, and opportunity. Your boy Farmer went along with a positive story about Green Hill, and as much bad news as we cover there, I think it's worth highlighting some not bad news. So do you want to summarize this for me?
Oh, I've got bad news for you because that's part 1 of 2, and I think if that's how you described this first round, then you probably would think that the next round is not positive. This is just Farmer doing what Farmer in his bag, if you will. He did a big tour. He talked to the new superintendent. The first part of the story is talking about some of the positive things that they've tried to do to kind of turn the ship around there. And I believe part 2, which we don't have a date set on it, it'll be in the next week or 2, is going to kind of focus on why they need some positive change. So I think you'll read a little bit about burritos stuffed with THC and footballs with drugs inside of them and, corrections employees sleeping with inmates and allowing fights. And I mean, it kind of just goes on and on.
I was all in on those things until you got to that third bullet item.
You might just want to sit part 2 out.
All right.
Just enjoy that part 1.
Next item, pot sales and a public safety tax, ? Lewis County considers options. So the county is currently expected to close out its 2025 finances with $1.3 million more in the general fund than expected, including $500,000 more in sales tax revenue than predicted. But the county also expects to begin dipping into its extra fund balances regularly in the coming years to offset rising costs. So they've got 2 options out there. There's legalizing pot so they can get tax money from it.
Well, pot's already legal, just allowing it within unincorporated areas of the city so they can get tax revenue off of it, yeah.
You wouldn't know that based on the comments on every single post concerning this. Under the cannabis revenue proposal, the county would begin allowing cannabis businesses, producers, processors, or retailers to set up shop in unincorporated parts of the county. Community Development Director Mindy Brooks said this is a pretty fast option in terms of generating revenue. If we start this month, we can have a code in front of you by June to consider, and then it's just into the permitting phase. The state already collects this tax, but since Lewis County doesn't allow it, it doesn't get the money.
They're not alone in this. There's a lot of conservative counties that are still in this zone.
What, 4, 5, 6?
I think so.
Yeah, out of 39.
I think we're the only one on the west side, though.
And you look to Commissioner Sean Swope's credit, this was one of the first things he advocated for when he took office. I wish he would have fought a little harder for it then, but I'm glad that it has been brought back up, and hopefully he will support it. It seems like it kind of makes sense.
Just complimented Sean Swope, which means you're gonna brutalize him and
you just think I'm doing a farmer?
Comments. Yeah, you're rope-a-doping him.
I was expecting an estimate on what they would bring in with the tax. I don't know if there's been previous report. I feel like it's been reported at some point in the past. I just can't remember what it was.
I also can't. I think it does matter a lot how it unfolds and how much of it they allow.
They've also got a survey out getting people's thoughts on this. The survey's still out there. I took it. Here's what the survey question says. Lewis County is considering allowing cannabis retail, which would result in new tax revenue from state-licensed local businesses. Do you support allowing cannabis retail in Lewis County? Yes, no, undecided. I voted yes.
Did it do one of those things where it tells you where the poll's at after you submit your vote? Because that would have been cool.
Yeah.
And I'm betting it's going to be a lot of no's, but I could be wrong on that.
Yeah. Anyway, the other option, the public safety tax, is something 19 counties have. Commissioners were a little hesitant on this one, which is probably fairly wise given all of this.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
But we'll see what happens with that. Any other
Maybe the
items?
county could just do an income tax,
Maybe it could.
And scale it down for Lewis County so it's everyone who makes over $50,000. All the rich people locally.
What if Lewis County did do like a millionaire's tax and they generated zero revenue?
I don't know. Yeah, we did have that number, too, of how many people locally are affected by the...
Wasn't it like 8?
Tax. No, it was more than that, but it was also the whole district. It wasn't Centralia, Chehalis. It was like the 20th district, if I recall correctly. Okay. Might have even been the 3rd congressional district, but...
Do you have any pressing news items you want to hit at this point?
I don't think so. Did you read the TDN had a great series? It was actually their Muro news reporter, the German royal family lineage that owns 7% of Wahkiakum County and won't let you hunt on it.
The Washington State Standard had it. Yeah, I read that this morning, and I was trying to figure out where the guy writes from because he was credited as Columbian, the Daily News, and he was right. It was in the Standard.
Yeah. He's one of the Muro guys. So like the state-funded journalists, they pair them up. They run them out of the Muro school at WSU, but you pair up or just one place. Chinook Observer has one.
Right.
But they can run anywhere. They're open for republication everywhere. So he writes for Columbian Daily News type stuff. But anyways, that story was wild. I hadn't even considered whether my land was at risk of being snatched up by German royals.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really good story, and people are really pissed off. And you know what? They should be.
Yeah, it's a weird story. I liked the fact that they're like the commissioners talking about the issue, and then they're like, oh, by the way, he works for the land management company, security, and he's asking for a vest because people are threatening him. Just a wild story. Henry Brandon was the reporter on that, and I just thought he did a great job. We ran all three. We'll have the third portion in Thursday's Chronicle, but we did the first two in Tuesday's edition.
Yeah, check that one out for sure.
It was fun.
All right, taking a break.
Hi, this is Jeff and Julie from Fairway Lanes.
Jeff and I met JSIC of Summit Funding at our bowling center, so when we fell in love with this community and it was time to relocate, we knew we would be calling Summit Funding.
They understand that everyone has a unique situation when buying a home.
He had already helped 2 of our employees get into their own homes. The Summit Funding team exceeded our expectations. It was a seamless experience with great communication from his whole team.
Thank you to Summit Funding for making our buying experience special and memorable.
All right, we're back. It's time for segments. And first up, Tales from the Takes page. This is a submission from the opinion page from The Intern. Letter to the editor, our Washington state government must change. He says there's some absolute heaters in this one. It starts out talking about how the Constitution is being disregarded by the Washington state government.
Well, this is a Mike Kimbrell joint out of Oakville.
Interesting take, but not crazy to hear nowadays. He then goes on to recite a list of items that are, quote, contrary to the best interest of Washington citizens, contrary to our Constitution, and mostly immoral. Some highlights from this list include, quote, legalize the killing of humans. Is this something the government did that was against the Constitution? Is he asking the government to legalize killing people? Unclear. Quote, children are not allowed to work. Quote, he seems to be very pro-child labor as he ends his letter with, my sweet wife Mary says that a group of kindergarten students could do a better job running the Washington state government. Quote, parents are not allowed to discipline their children. Quote, the Washington government believes it can control the weather. The intern writes, all of these are presented as bullet points without elaboration.
You know what, Ty? You leave your hands off my letter writers. Nothing wrong with that take from Mike Kimbrell. It is his opinion. He's a good letter writer, reliable. He's there all the time. I believe this one was a little over the word limit, and I didn't notice until after publication, so I allowed it.
You didn't want to hack off a couple of those bullet points?
The bullet points became confusing for me because it went from like a list of items to just more of like ideas. It was just kind of like devolving as I went down. But no, it was a great letter. I don't want to insult a letter writer. I appreciate all of the letters that are sent to me.
Column, Claude Swope wrote about abortion, kind of.
Only a weak mind is just accusing everyone of AI these days. Just go after his ideas, not after
we'll get
the
there.
entire
Buckle up.
Substance. Come on.
This is about Senate Bill 6128, which I actually hadn't heard anything about until reading about this. So I'm
Surely
glad this
you've
was
done
placed
your
in front of me.
research since then.
Yeah. It sounds like it wouldn't exist if the federal government hadn't defunded Planned Parenthood, which occasionally provides abortion services, but mainly helps poor women find out if they have cancer or a healthy pregnancy or an STD. Also, I can't mention Planned Parenthood without thinking how much I love seeing moms against abortion who from age 16 to 25 should have had like a NASCAR driver sponsored by Planned Parenthood on their duvet cover. It's just a fun thing to see.
Someone specifically here?
No, it's just
I
something
don't
you
know.
always...
It seems like you got somebody specific in mind there.
Look, anytime one of these Planned Parenthood posts lands on the Chronicle Facebook, you'll see comments from people and be like, yeah, I remember running into that person at parties back in the day, and let me tell you, their social life was underwritten by Planned Parenthood for a long stretch there. Just don't forget where you came from, people.
I don't think people... Hey, go ahead. You got your stuff here.
Anyway, on this bill, the Catholics and health insurance companies both signed in against it, which, say less, I can only cheer so loudly. Swope makes a lot of points about how he shouldn't have to pay for something someone else is doing that he thinks is immoral, and oh boy, the gaslight is coming from inside the house. You could also make the same argument about churches, which famously don't pay taxes, and yet some of them worship and platform politicians. Not all churches, some of them.
You haven't been inside a church in years.
I was inside a church on December 24th,
You
sir.
had to fire up Claude and said, Claude, show me what a church looks like. No, show me one that hates abortion.
He goes on a rant about how he can't fund abortion, which is a covered medical service, but not a bunch of other stuff he would 100% vote against funding, like Running Start. I think if Jim Walsh hadn't gone off about funding cuts to Running Start, Swope would 100% be for cutting the program.
No.
Taxpayer funds covering college education for overachieving kids. He hates all those things.
You said the same thing about Walsh. Walsh
just
is the
mentioned
only
Walsh.
person that has spoken out about this. No, you mentioned him, but that would also apply to Walsh.
Well, Walsh came out in support of it proactively.
Okay, fine.
Not to make a point about something completely different. So, does he know what happens if someone doesn't get an abortion? Because there's a few medical procedures involved, and I hate to put this in terms of dollars and cents, but it's a little more expensive, and those costs also affect your insurance pool, probably even more. You've had, what does a baby cost these days? You've got a couple.
They're expensive.
9, 10 kids now?
13.
Yeah. Then, what if a child is born out of wedlock? Do you support that too on moral grounds? Should there be an insurance opt-out for that? Just asking questions here. And his whole "we must keep children safe" rant is coming from the guy who put a bunch of high school students in danger by lying about their First Amendment protected protest and then doing jack shit to correct the situation. So this kind of falls on deaf ears. And again, if you're doing if Olympia has money for this column, when you've just lit taxpayer dollars on fire to cover lawsuits you knew you were going to lose, it's kind of bad faith commentary. This is a little like getting a lecture on the morality of eating beef from a cannibal. It's like Ted Bundy showing up and going, the way you treat women leaves something to be desired.
I mean,
End of rant.
It was a rant. More ranty than your usual rants.
Well, I haven't had a good rant in a while.
I'm not going to debate abortion with you. I'm not going to make the same mistake I made at my college newspaper when I and a fellow 20-year-old white man debated abortion in the pages of the student newspaper.
Which side did you take?
I'm not commenting. Unfortunately, there is no online database of that information anymore.
Speaking of Planned Parenthood and your social life, I feel like this did a number on yours.
I will just say you are able to take this matter lightly, and you will laugh at it, and that's fine, but this is a matter that to a lot of people who are anti-abortion would literally make them cry, and very sorrowful to know that they had any hand in it whatsoever, and they would be very honest emotions that are just as honest as your flippancy towards their opinions on the matter. But I would not wish to discuss abortion. I will say that I continue to think we should have Swope on here, and he has requested again.
I've never heard it from him.
Not to put you on the spot.
Never once have I heard from him about it.
What would it take to get Swope on this podcast to discuss these pressing matters of the day?
Oh, boy. I don't know. I feel like he's a guy that just needs to hear no once in a while.
Okay. All right. Don't want to debate. Just following through on my promise to
you can have him on your other radio show.
I don't want to. I don't have another radio show.
You just talked
I
about
occasionally
your other
come out of the
radio
bullpen for Chad because I like hanging out with him. I like his takes.
Would I be allowed to go to Swope's place of business and just say whatever I wanted with no filter?
Yeah, it's
I
the
don't
county
think that's
courthouse.
how it works.
Yeah, you can. People routinely do that all the time. They go out on the sidewalk. It happens.
Anyway, what else is going on in the opinion section?
All right, I'll let you go this time. What else is going on in the opinion section? We had a John Braun column. I know that would surprise you. The Association of Washington Business throughout this session has become more and more aggressive in their commentaries, which, if you know the Association of Washington Business, they're quite milquetoast. Usually they're trying to say something positive about everyone.
Yeah.
They had will businesses really leave? That's the wrong question. And then Chris Johnson, their executive director, took a very strong stance as far as their recent survey that found 44% of business leaders are considering moving their personal residence out of the state amid this talk of the income tax and whatnot. I thought that was a really good piece, and people should read it. It'll be somewhat irrelevant after the legislature passes this thing, probably before we're done today. Wayne Fournier in the tunnels beneath the nation's capital.
Boy, that's really alluding to some
Could be a lot going on there. It was basically he went to the Capitol and he's telling you about it. But the headline was good.
The swamp, he means?
The headline was good.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Got a bunch of letters to the editor. Yeah, that should work.
All right. You don't want to talk about the Melania Trump letter?
The Melania Trump letter is pretty good and got a response already from someone whose wife immigrated here. Coincidence or distraction? No, that wasn't that one. It was an immigrant story, right? An immigration story, yeah. And
does this guy's wife still live here, or has she been sent back?
No, she still lives here, and his point was that the letter writer of the Melania case is wrong. And anyways, you can go read them. The letters to the editor are not to be explained.
Okay.
Not like you are so great at explaining other people's points of view.
Well, sometimes people need a little pushback.
They do.
They come to this podcast for differences of opinion, correct takes and incorrect takes.
Your takes.
Do you want to talk about history?
Yeah, you got anything good?
Yeah, I liked some of these from the olden days. From 1936, this is history should repeat itself. The Works Progress Administration had 3 projects going on in Centralia. They had Fort Boris Park they were working on. They had the Armory Hills Golf Course on Seminary Hill, and they had a, quote, forest park, which I believe was the Seminary Hill nature area.
That's what I thought when I read it, too.
This was part of FDR's New Deal during the Great Depression. What do you think Trump's New Deal would be? OnlyFans for kids?
No, doesn't he have those investment accounts?
Nice
shot, though. Yeah.
The 3
OnlyFans
projects
for kids, you pervert.
the 3 projects had created 182 jobs. I'm the pervert?
Yeah, you wrote OnlyFans for kids, ? You wrote that.
I'm just going off his previous work.
Yeah, I bet you are.
The 3 projects had created 182 jobs total. Fort Boris Park had a polo field, a running track, stables, and grandstands going in. That sounds sick. And then at the golf course, 8 of the 9 greens have progressed to a point where they are ready for topsoil dressing. So the Seminary Hill Golf Course, Armory Hills Golf Course, whatever it was called, was open when I was a kid, but I think it shut down like 25 years ago probably.
Did you ever play it?
I played it once, and it was a golf course built, on the side of Seminary Hill. So you would hit a shot, and it would just roll off.
Yeah, I've often wondered about that.
But still, I wish it was still there. It was a cool course.
I mean, the land's still there. You could probably get in there and play it through.
I don't think so.
A real man could.
From 1946, violent crime in Lewis County was on the rise, according to Sheriff John Blankenship, Prosecuting Attorney John Pinesco, and State Patrol Sergeant Charles Kinzel, who issued a joint statement asking for the public's cooperation in their investigations. They wrote, quote, "Attention is called to the recent increases of violent deaths in the county and the fact law enforcement officers are handicapped by a lack of interest and assistance from the public in general." People weren't about to snitch, even in the 40s.
That whole news item had that flavor to it. The lawmen were getting quite frustrated with how real the streets were keeping it in Lewis County at that particular time. They were not talking about nothing.
No. And then from 1976, Chronicle reporter Orlo Moore was preparing to accompany members of the Oakville High School Band and the Confederated Tribes of the Chehalis Reservation on a trip to Dublin, Ireland, after the band and tribal members were chosen to represent Washington State in the Dublin St. Patrick's Day Parade. They embedded a reporter from the Oakville band going to Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah, would you do that now?
I mean, we sent Zach to Virginia to talk to a former local baseball player.
Yeah,
Not
that's
so long
true.
ago.
That's pretty close to Ireland.
I'd say post-Taylor acquisition of the Chronicle, that would be a laughable thing, but there's really nothing I don't mind trotting out to Chad and Corley. There's always a chance they're going to say yes. Like if we had been like, hey, say the Bucks made it to the Super Bowl. K. Dotton's in the Super Bowl. Tumwater Kid. Think we can go?
Yeah.
I think Chad would have been like, we'll see if you can get a credential. How much is it going to cost?
Yeah. How much could a Super Bowl
It
cost?
wouldn't be a laugh and a no as it would have been in the other days.
Yeah, absolutely. If you were going to Ireland, how would you want to be outfitted?
Oh, you want to stay dry, which is why it's a really good time for the Keepin' Dry sale at Chehalis Outfitters.
Ireland, famously misty.
Not dry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see what you're doing there.
That's a sale that is going on through March 18th, I believe. They also have some events coming up. March 28th is a free jam-making seminar at 1:30 p.m.
Yeah.
There's also going to be free photos with the Easter Bunny from 5 to 7, April 2nd and 3rd, and from 11 to 2, April 4th and 5th. Do you think the Easter Bunny is just Q-Pig and they've strapped on some ears fashioned out of some Carhartt pants?
Chehalis Outfitters would never.
No, they'll have the actual Easter Bunny
It'll
there.
be a real rabbit.
Lots of spring items on here for sale, though. Obviously, it's the Stay Dry sale, so there's some clothing to keep you dry. You want to check out their clearance corner. Kids' rain boots are only $20.
Mm-hmm.
You can get rain gear. You can get yourself some waders. Smelt Run's been working,
Yeah.
And then there's some good plant deals, Ooh. Are you starting to work in your garden?
Not quite yet. It'll be a couple more weeks probably.
I see.
But I've kind of planned out what I want to grow this year. A lot of carrots.
Black carrots?
A lot of carrots.
I think you said black carrots.
Is that a
like,
thing?
Oddly specific.
Yeah.
They have purple carrots, I believe.
That's true. Maybe I'll throw some of those in there.
Yeah.
I kind of want to put some sunflowers out there. I tried those one time and I put them on the wrong side of the house. They didn't get enough sun.
Well, you are in unincorporated Lewis County, I believe, so maybe you start putting some of the devil's lettuce in there.
Hey.
Do you think anybody is going to hear about Lewis County legalizing it? They're just going to bring a bushel of pot to the farmer's market. Just in Chehalis.
That would be great. We've got some pretty good comments coming up on that in just a minute.
It's not much, but it's honest work.
Oh, you can get crab pots for 15% off, too. That sounds sick.
That's not bad.
What do you think I'd catch if I just threw a crab pot out in the river?
The Skookumchuck River?
Yeah.
I'd probably get a few needles in there, and then you'd be like, man, we should have an ordinance against this. And it would be too late. You've already poo-pooed it.
Throwing their needles down the river?
Yeah. You don't think there's anybody at Schaefer Park doing heroin? I got news for you, buddy. You ever been under that bridge? There's a guy who lives under there, and I've seen him do heroin. So
all right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That was an oddly specific attack on this
only
one
one way to
bridge
find
man,
out.
so I would like to apologize.
But I want to know what you were doing under the bridge.
Me and the boy were like, hey, I bet you the bridge is pretty cool. And so we poked under there. There was a dude on a mattress. It's like 10 years ago, but I still see him walking.
Yeah,
It's very sad. But as far as like ownership of that bridge, though, I don't think that's in question anymore.
All right. Check out Chehalis Outfitters, 1757 North National Avenue in
Sorry, I got
Chehalis.
off beat there. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Sirens Banger of the Week. I've got Zach Green, 51, of Centralia, who was arrested Friday and booked into Chehalis Tribal Jail. We're doing that again?
They've been doing that. They haven't stopped that.
For an alleged open container violation and crimes including possession of controlled substance, use or delivery of drug paraphernalia, and dangerous weapons. Police said Green was found intoxicated with an alcoholic beverage on a city sidewalk and possessed drugs, drug paraphernalia, and brass knuckles upon his arrest. Come on, officer. These knuckle dusters are just paperweights, see? Maybe let an old pal up with just a warning, eh?
Oh, my gosh. Got to work on that.
How excited do you think the police were to find legitimate brass knuckles on somebody and be like, oh, boy,
I mean,
we don't get to write these up very often?
they pop up more often than you would think.
I had a pair at some point. I have no idea what happened to them.
You are no more dangerous with brass knuckles than you are without them, so probably doesn't
fair.
matter that you lost it. Not like me. I'd be a problem.
Is there any Sirens Bangers I may have missed?
No, I was kind of glancing, and I think that's fine.
All right. People's Champion of the Week. I've got Anonymous for making a $160,000 donation to the Chehalis Tennis and Wrestling Facility funding pool. Mm-hmm. Who do you think Anonymous is?
Oh.
Is it you?
No, it's not. That's a very specific donation, though. It makes me think that that's exactly the amount of money they needed. Some wealthy Chehalan would be my guess, or former Chehalan.
Okay.
I think the hero, though, is your next one. It's got to be Miss Taylor Carroll of Adna.
Yeah, this is a story submitted by Abby Wagner, Roman Wagner's mother, and she talks about Miss Taylor Carroll, who has gone above and beyond after her child's cancer diagnosis that rattled his kindergarten classroom.
Yeah, it was. She has nominated Miss Carroll through the OSP, the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction, but didn't want to wait to see if she won to get the recognition, which I thought was pretty cool. And so she submitted it, and we got that into the weekend edition. It's a really beautifully written story.
Yeah,
did a great job.
All right, some Facebook comments of the week. We didn't even mention Leonard Christian. That feels like ages ago. There's a lot going on.
Did you see the update on it, though?
No.
He said actually he knew exactly what he was doing the entire time, and it was everyone else who fell for it. Which I was like, no, you don't get to do that.
Do you remember Marshall Henderson, who was a basketball player for like Ole Miss years ago, white kid?
I remember the name, yeah.
And he posted like the N-word on social media, and everybody got mad. He was like, "Ha, you've all been duped. I was doing a social experiment."
Yeah, that's what Leonard Christian tried to say after this. He's just like, I was concerned it wasn't getting enough attention, so I decided to just blow it up.
So there were some comments on that. I mentioned to you the other day that I thought John Braun's response was good. He came out and was like, no, this is bad. We can't be doing this. This commenter, however, disagreed. He said, "It is interesting that John Braun is more interested in being woke than pushing back on a dreadful bill." Like, I mean, two things can be true, I guess.
He's been pushing back.
And then the comment that had me laughing quite hard: "Isn't that what the R next to Leonard Christian is short for? It's his word. He can use it."
Okay, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And then we've got a bunch of comments on the safety tax and cannabis in the LC. This commenter says, I think they should not be legalizing any cannabis because that just goes to show that their values are up for sale. They were trying to be hard-nosed about it back in the day, and they discriminated against a lot of people by not allowing cannabis to be grown. They should continue with that ideology. Otherwise, it will just go to show that the past leaders of the counties were just anti-cannabis discriminatory leaders. If we change our mind now, we'll have to admit we did something stupid then.
Yeah, it's an argument.
It's a terrible argument.
It's an argument.
Another commenter, one thing to remember is that if these businesses open up, it will attract criminals from bigger cities for the same reason they're always hitting Centralia outlets. Less security, less police. I can remember when legal sale shops were popping up in Lower Thurston, and it was like they were constantly being robbed. Again, I cannot stress this enough. There are already pot shops in Lewis County.
No, I am going to stop you there. I think this commenter is 100% correct, and the ones in Lewis County have been hit multiple times to the point where sometimes the Centralia police don't even tell us that it happened, and it takes a gumshoe reporter like myself on the ground visiting the business to see that somebody has backed a car into it and stolen what's in there multiple times, and it has happened in Yelm, it has happened everywhere, and I think you better believe if you have a shop out in Mossy Rock or Morton, it will get hit. People back their cars in, they take as much as they can, and they run. So I don't think this commenter's off base.
Can you buy pot with debit card now?
I don't know that. You know, I don't partake in the devil's lettuce, so I don't know. I actually don't know though. I'm a cash man in all.
That's true.
In all of my transactions.
So this commenter writes, "So I can start a major grow across the street from a middle school? Question mark? Question mark? Question mark?
The story
question mark?
literally said you can't have it next to a school. Come on, man.
The whole thing was like a process for registering.
Read a couple of the graphs.
This guy says, this is not at all a good idea. This will lead only to an increase in marijuana crimes, but also mental health crimes. And I thought, you hear that, Ed? Bears. Now you're putting the whole station in jeopardy. And then my favorite, Winlock City has been known as the drug dealer capital of Lewis County. I just saw a post from the local drug dealer saying the ATMs are out of cash. Makes you wonder why. Just off the highway, it seems like the next smash and grab will probably happen in Winlock. This is what socialist mayors bring. Winlock City is no longer a safe place to raise children. The mayor's been in office for less than 2 months.
It's pretty heavy.
And also,
here.
Why are you following the local drug dealer on social media? Are you friends with him?
I think they must just be talking about the new, was it the Evergreen Egg down there? Because Winlock has their first pot shop. Yeah, that was a wild ride. I feel like you got to give her a little bit of time here to get her footing before you start with that kind of stuff.
Anyway, yeah, that was all I had. Any other news items?
No, as of right now, 5:45 on Tuesday, the income tax bill is still being debated in the Washington State House. Looks like Andrew Barkis is up there talking about it right now. I don't think he's in favor.
Is he going to do a filibuster?
I don't think you can you filibuster? I think that's what this amounts to. I don't know why else they'd be talking about it for 24 hours, but
yeah, maybe they're just making some amendments.
They're trying to make some amendments. It's kind of, I've watched it off and on. Anyways, I'm sure that'll be passed by the time anyone listens to this. Hold on to your dollars that are all above $1 million. So
yeah,
fortunately, I have very few of those. So currently, I am okay. But they'll come for us later.
Much later.
Other stuff that we'll have is Jacob Moore and Ridley went out to Packwood yesterday, where the county commissioners honored some flood heroes.
Did they see Bill Saran?
Bill Saran was there, I know, because he had his own post about it and pictures of everybody. And we also got some photos of the elk, because you have to do that when you're in Packwood.
Of course.
And let's see, what else? We'll have lots of good stuff. Owen is hitting up a trifecta of city council meetings tonight, which has never been done in the history of the Thurston County beat. He's starting with Rainier at 5, then he's hustling down to Tenino, which I believe starts at 6:30, and then he's going to try to find the nightcap in Bucota if he can pull it off. And I was telling him, I was like, hey, why don't we just do Rainier and Tenino? It makes more sense. He's like, I think I can do it. I was like, just because you should doesn't mean you necessarily
What he should do is write like a first-person column about his adventures trying to hit all three and what happened. And
maybe I'll ask him to do that after we get the actual news out of the way. And I don't know what's happening at Tenino. It sounds like it might be interesting, though.
All right.
I'm sure it has something to do with their finances is usually what it's about these days.
It kind of tends to be. All right. In closing, hey, happy 269, man.
Oh,
we made it. People said it was impossible. We did it.
It's incredible.
We're sponsored by Summit Funding, Chehalis Outfitters, and The Roof Doctor. Leave a review and rating on Apple Podcast if you want, or send us an email with your, you know what? In honor of episode 269, send us an email with your recommendations for best erotic thrillers. at chroniclenewsdump@gmail.com. If you send us one, I promise I will watch it if I haven't already and leave a 30-second review on the next episode.